the system is very similar to what we had 4 years ago, but we tried to make some important improvements. So it's 3 different levels. It's the WSL Championship Tour, number 1. It's the World Surfing Games and the Pan Am Games. There's individual slots and there are continental slots, just like we had last time. We thought a lot about, should we give the places, there are 2 ways to qualify in the Olympic world, by name or by country. For us, it was very important to continue to give the athletes the chance to win their place. So we continue to have all the places qualified by name. So this is some of the first important principles. But we also knew we had to make some improvements. We also wanted to make it a little bit more exciting. So we introduced some new elements to the qualification system. It's the Championship Tour for 2023, number 1. So 10 men, 8 women, top 10. Then it's World Surfing Games next year and Pan Am Games, continental slots. So 1 from each continent, from World Surfing Games here, Europe, Asia, Oceania, Africa, just like last time. And once those places are won here, they're secured. So no more question that the following year they could be replaced by their teammate who surpasses them. This was an important change we wanted to make to avoid the athletes spending 1 year wondering if their place was secure or not. The final step is World Surfing Games 2024. We must do this before the Olympics, of course, so it has to be within the first half of the year, before the end of May. And this will have 5 individual slots for men and 7 for women. Of course, there's the host country, just like last time. We had 1 place each for the host country. But if they qualify through the normal process, those places go back to the World Surfing Games 2024. And then finally, there's one more new kind of qualification, which is universality. So last time the IOC had asked us to do this, and we said, no, we don't have a lot of athletes, and we prefer not to. This time, they mandated all the sports, all the Olympic sports, to have at least 1 place, which is available to countries who've had 8 athletes or less in the Olympics the previous time. So it's only for countries who have very few athletes. They can apply. There's a list of countries. The IOC told me, so they must apply. This is October of next year. They can apply for this universality place. Then it comes to us, and we must validate if these surfers have the skill. If we decide, because it's a decision together with the IOC and the ISA looking at technical merits, that these athletes are not qualified, then also those slots go back to the World Surfing Games next year. But we have the dominant voice in this discussion, because it has to be an athlete who is technically qualified, technically capable of being a good surfer. We don't want to have just a tourist. And of course, it's a very important prize. We wanted to do something different. We wanted to motivate the top teams. You have these, amongst these additional places we received, we had the places for universality, which we can give to the countries who are maybe more needing. But we wanted to, looking at what happened last time, to create a new opportunity. First, World Surfing Games this year, and we've been discussing for the past 2 or 3 months to find a location. In the end, we found Huntington Beach. And there, it was really Fernando's wish and Fernando's idea. We should give 1 slot to the winning team for men and women, which is like a joker. It's on top of the maximum of 2. And this, the team won't need to say the name until May of 2024. So the team wins the right to the place, but they don't need to tell us who the athlete is until May of 2024, till the end of the qualification system. So in this case, it's really the National Olympic Committee who will choose the athlete together with the National Federation. So they must consult the National Federation in choosing the athlete. But it's up to the country. it's a very common amongst many sports that they give this place to the country to choose in the end. Depending on who's the best chance to win a medal for them in Chopu and who has a good experience, yeah, then they tell us the name at the end. So there were several reasons why. We wanted to add a new element to create some drama and excitement. We wanted to give this kind of extra opportunity. Of course, we want to have the top surfers and the top countries motivated and incentivized to compete at the World Surfing Games, not just obligated. But this time now they know that there's a chance if they bring their best team, they have a chance to bring a third one. And that's a big motivation. The other important realization after El Salvador last year was that the World Surfing Games champion, Joan Deroux from France, wasn't able to qualify. It was hard for him to understand. It was hard for many of the athletes to understand. We thought about giving it to the winning athlete, but then it was too restrictive. We are required by the IOC to define the hierarchy, which means which events take priority. Because, of course, you must give a classification starting with if you have two surfers from Australia that qualify through the championship tour, but also compete in the World Surfing Games, they can't replace them. So once you have two at the highest hierarchy, they're secured. Last time we did the hierarchy in the reverse chronological order, and it created a situation where the athletes from 2019 were at risk, or they could be replaced by their teammates in 2021 or 2020. This happened for Japan, it happened for Peru, and it caused a lot of anxiety for the athletes. Yes, so this is an important distinction I didn't clarify at the beginning. We've decided for this case, it's going to be the men's team and a women's team, not a combined team. Because it's not fair, because some teams perform better on women and better on men, to try and combine them. So we're going to have we're going to rank the teams by men for 2022 and by women, and that's going to be one slot per winning team as opposed to having one single team. So there's actually four. There are actually 4 slots. So it's one for women and one for men in 2022, and one for women and one for men in 2024 per team. We're going to do it by gender this time. So it'll be just by gender for 22 and 24. There will be a team world champion for men and for women, just like we have an individual world champion for men, well, World Surfing Games champion. It's a little adaptation to what we normally do in order to make it work in the Olympic context. Well, first of all, because there's still going to be a requirement for all of them to compete. There's still going to be, a motivation. It's true, there's not as much motivation, not as much interest if they've already won the team slot for 2022. But there is a chance, if that was the case in 2024, the same team was to win, then it would go down to the second place team in 2022. That's a risk that could happen, yes. That is a risk that could happen.
Okay.
We can't cover all the possibilities. But Peru could also win the team. So if Peru wins the team for men, then they get the third slot. There's a fund called Olympic Solidarity that they put aside for development. And it's mainly benefiting the National Olympic Committees. But they need the federations, because we have the experience in the sports, to help run these things. So the IOC has already told us they agree, because it's a unique situation with Chopu. And because we're qualifying athletes individually, it's important that they have an opportunity. The CT athletes already have had many chances. It wouldn't be open to the CT athletes. only to athletes not part of the championship tour would be eligible for these camps. It's athletes who have not had experience in that wave, and we would look at it on a case-by-case basis, but they would need to apply, but it would be completely funded. First of all, this is a pretty high-performing wave. So this is 2023. We haven't decided yet where 2024 is. So we're starting a process. We're looking at, of course, we want to look at waves that would be high-performing. We have some time to figure out how that looks. But 2022 doesn't matter that it's Huntington Beach. Doesn't matter because it's a team. It's a team slot. And the country will choose the athlete based on who has the best chance. Just because it's the way the slots worked out. 23 was reserved for the continents. So we decided that would stay the same, but there were a limit because mainly there was a limited number of places. There was a limited number of places that we could give. We only had 4 more from Tokyo. One of those was taken by the host country. One of those taken by universality places, and left 2 places. So continents, there's always 5. We know there's always 5. We can't have more or less. So we wanted to make sure it was a good balance across the different events. You know as well as I do, it's a spectacular place. It's almost like a sacred place for surfing. It has to be respected. It's so incredibly beautiful and natural. It's our challenge is to organize this in a way that doesn't disrupt too much the environment, but at the same time presents an amazing spectacle for the world. It's a challenge because it's the end of the road. It's the end of the road, but there's a team of people from Paris who are moving there in July. We have a good relationship with the Paris team. We're going to probably go back again for the Tahiti Pro. We have WSL full support. There's a good working relationship with them. I think the parties are all together, knowing we want to do. It's so important for surfing. We have to do it well, So we're excited. The Tahiti Pro is mostly a broadcast event. You can go there and you can stay at the point, but you can't see really. You can't see. There are boats in the channel. We don't know yet how the spectator experience is going to be. It's something we're discussing. Of course, the safety is a priority for us, and it was why we insisted on the 2 more athletes with the IOC, because if we had 22 or 20, we're in this crazy situation of not being able to get to a bracket of 16. So it meant we have to go to this heats of 5 again, or some unusual numbers, and we studied all kinds of different scenarios. We presented them all to the IOC, and we said, look, each one of these either makes it unfair or makes it a risk for the athletes. So you have to have the maximum number will be 3. The maximum athletes in the water in Chopa will be the 3 for the first round. We haven't published the format yet, but it'll be a very easy format. A very easy format, which goes down to 16 easily from 24, and with using the full local safety crew that works on the Tahiti Pro. We're not going to try and reinvent the wheel. The point where there will be where the WSL sets up some of their structures, very basic structures. There'll be a place behind. There's a big open space behind where they'll have some structures. But the beach is small, so there's discussions about who will be allowed and how many people. That's one place where they'll be able to have some public viewing, but you won't be able to see the field of play. You won't be able to see the wave, well, wearing binoculars maybe. So it'd have to be an experience with a screen, and so those are plans that are being discussed, being developed.